This week in Jamaica Now.
It's a sad day for the force, a sad day for Jamaica.
Black Friday, 2 policemen shot dead, 2 others injured in a dreadful early morning attack in Horizon Park, St. Catherine. 1 cop killer was later cut down in a police operation. The Prime Minister is deeply pained.
My thoughts and prayers are with their families at this time, and our collective hearts grieve with them.
Government backtracks on testing policy for travelers. Now it says both Jamaicans and tourists will be tested on arrival. Another prisoner behind bars for decades without trial identified. NCB manager arrested in connection with $35 million fraud. And government opens debate on removing monuments to colonial-era icons. I'm Damian Mitchell, and this is Jamaica Now. It was a Black Friday in Jamaica this week, a nation in grief and horror after 4 policemen were shot when gunmen opened fire on them during an early morning operation in Horizon Park on the outskirts of Spanish Town in St. Catherine. Dane Biggs, a 33-year-old police corporal, and 26-year-old constable, Ricardo Hilton, did not make it. They were pronounced dead at the Spanish Town Hospital. Constable Hilton enlisted in the police force just 3 years ago. In the meantime, Police Superintendent Leon Clunis and another cop received several bullet wounds and have been admitted to hospital in critical condition. The superintendent has had 2 surgical operations. According to Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson, the cops were on an intelligence-driven operation when they were attacked.
When these things happen as a force, it just brings us together. We will not step back from this challenge that we're having with criminals, gunmen, and people shooting our citizens and shooting us as well. So this is not going to cause us to step back. We will step forward and we'll continue to do what we do.
And fewer than 12 hours later, Damian Hamilton, one of the alleged cop killers, was cut down in a police operation in Corville Gardens, St. Andrew.
The perpetrator that escaped, leaving a M16 automatic rifle and a couple of magazines behind. And we've had a number of follow-up operations that led us to various premises where we gathered more information and intelligence on where they might be. Eventually found at least one of them in Corville Gardens, where on trying to apprehend him, he managed to graze one of our officers, and another officer got some bullet fragments in him before we managed to kill him and recover the weapon he was using.
Meanwhile, the police commissioner said the investigators are pursuing several leads into the early morning attack in Horizon Park. And Prime Minister Andrew Holness has said he is deeply pained by the incident. He also said the government will provide every support to the families of the affected cops and the police high command.
The killing of a law enforcement officer while in the lawful conduct of his duty must be considered an attack on the state, an attack on our security and our sensibilities. It must not go unanswered. Otherwise, it will embolden those who are bent on spreading fear and promoting lawlessness.
I know the medical team is working assiduously and will do what it takes to provide them with the best care available. To the men and women of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, I want to assure you of my support and my solidarity during this time of pain and bereavement. Even though your hearts are aching from the tragic and painful loss, I know that you are even more motivated and committed and determined to combat crime and criminality.
Meanwhile, another cop was injured after a service car in which he was driving to the hospital overturned in Horizon Park. On Friday, both the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defense Force flew their flags at half-mast. In other news, the government has now announced that it will test all tourists and Jamaicans arriving as of June 15. This is a reversal of an earlier announcement by the Prime Minister. There had been mounting opposition to the government's decision to abandon testing requirements for people arriving from June 15 onwards. At present, Jamaicans returning home are tested at the airports. Non-Jamaicans are expected to start arriving on June 15. In the meantime, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie is urging people to continue practicing safety measures.
We're at a very critical juncture when we are reopening the country to persons coming in. And so now is a time more than ever that every Jamaican has to have that responsibility, not just for themselves, but for their neighbors and for everybody that they come in contact with, to spread the word that the outbreak is not over. It is not over, and this is the most critical point as we make changes in how we manage.
A senior manager at the National Commercial Bank, NCB, has been arrested in connection with a $35 million fraud at the institution. The police say 52-year-old Andrea Gordon of a Kingston address has been charged with larceny as a servant following a series of incidents dating back to 2017. She was charged on Thursday evening after being interviewed by detectives from the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch. It is reported that between January 2017 and May 2020, Gordon transferred more than $35 million from the bank to her personal accounts. The police have promised more information on the case following the conclusion of an audit. Gordon is scheduled to appear before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Thursday, July 23. A week after it was revealed that an 81-year-old man died in prison after 40 years without trial, another one has been found languishing behind bars. George Williams was a mentally ill 20-year-old when he was arrested by the police in 1970 and charged for allegedly killing Ian Laurie. Now, nearly 50 years later, Williams is believed to be one of the 7 persons identified by the Independent Commission of Investigations Indicom who have been in Jamaican penal system for more than 40 years. Attorney-at-law Isaac Buchanan has been hired by the civil rights group Stand Up for Jamaica to represent Williams. Buchanan said his now 69-year-old client had been declared fit to plead, but has not been in court in 48 years. His last court appearance would have been in 1972 when he was remanded at the Governor-General's pleasure. Vendors of the Ray Ray Market in Kingston are chalking up their losses after another major fire there. It happened moments after heavy gunfire erupted in a section of western Kingston this week. The blaze quickly engulfed the market, destroying everything in its path. The police say the fire was started by hoodlums. As the smoke escaped from the rubble, vendors searched for signs something may have been saved.
All of the vendors over here, we need one heap of help because all of our clothes them burn up. Everything burn up.
We are hard hustler, juggler. You see me I say?
And them pin your gas school, you know. Corona mash me up.
Yeah.
Now them come burn out. What am I them for eat? Enough is enough. They're human beings.
So we need a lot of clothes. If people see on the TV, donate some clothes to Ray Ray ground.
All I can say, Lord, help us. Nothing more. In this time, Uncle God alone can help we.
Jamaica's Culture Minister Olivia Grange has opened up the avenue for discussion on removing statues of colonial-era icons from public spaces. It comes amid global anti-racism protests sparked by the killing of American George Floyd. Across several countries, people have been toppling monuments which today remind them of white supremacy. In London, Mayor Sadiq Khan has established a commission to review statues, monuments, and street and place names to reflect greater cultural diversity and sensitivity. Meanwhile, Grange said that the Holness administration was satisfied that the emerging discourse was necessary to fully confront the inequities and injustices of the past that are impacting modern life. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, turn on your notifications and subscribe today. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, tensions in Tivoli Gardens, West Kingston as residents accuse soldiers of excesses.
Look how the soldier them pointing up them gun. About 10 of them just gone in that yard right now. Look right there, that shot me in tiny belly. Look people, Lord. Look.
I 7 penny me have me take care of the whole of them. I'm young. I mean, I want not dirty soldier when I live my life. I when I live now when a dirty soldier boy come abuse my penny them come in a fight, you know. And here the gun commander when me come out with my baby. Anything move, shoot. That can be an animal. That means me kill me with my 1-year-old baby. I saw my deal with me. And me look mad enough you and then beat him. Inspector Blake just speak to me and she comfort me. She make me feel the presence of love. The soldier them are going bad. They feel like I be a dog and pussy and rat living in the community. We have all kind of people living there. We have good, bad and the difference.